and you won't embarrass me, I won't embarrass you. And we have a mic here, so if you want to ask a question, I guess the easiest thing to do is if you would just hold up your hand, and if you can't be reached, you can walk over to the mic.
Can you tell us what the status is on how you obtain the Ten Commandments?
Okay. It's my opinion that we will be able to put the tables of stone that contain the Ten Commandments on public display this year. All right. Last year, I hoped that year would be the one. Now, this year is the 3,000th year, or anniversary of David moving his royal city to Jerusalem. You know, he was at Hebron, and then he went to Jerusalem. So anyway, this year, the Israeli government is trying to do some special things to commemorate the anniversary. And so there's a special effort being put forth to put these things on display and show you video of the Arca of the Covenant and the other furnishings of Solomon's temple. The tables of stone were in the Ark of the Covenant. All right? The Ark of the Covenant is still where I found it. The tables of stone are now available, all right, to be put on public display. I'm not allowed to tell their exact whereabouts, and I think you can understand that. Because there's people, you know, who would like to destroy those, and Satan is the leader of all such people.
Question. You were talking about the blood on the mercy seat, Jesus' blood. Would that be the only human blood? Because there would be other blood there, wouldn't there?
Okay. All right, let me answer her question. She says, the blood of Jesus on the mercy seat, would that not be the only human blood? And is there not other blood on the mercy seat? And the answer is yes to both questions. In Leviticus chapter 16, verse 14, for those of you who are keeping track of these things, it makes the statement that the priest, high priest, was to take of the blood of the bullock, and this was talking about the Day of Atonement, and sprinkle it on the mercy seat eastward. Now, I hadn't noticed that. It simply means that when he stood in front of God's earthly throne, the Ark of the Covenant with the mercy seat, that he was to sprinkle the blood on the right side of the mercy seat. That's where we found the blood of bulls and of goats, right? Christ's blood was on the other side, on the left side, facing the mercy seat. Now, if you remember, the Bible tells us that when Christ ascended back to heaven, it says he has sat down on the right hand of the throne of God. All right? Now, that would be, if we were facing it, it would be on the left side. You follow me? If you're down there, this is the right side. If you're up here, this is the left side. And so, anyway, Christ physically occupies the place on the throne in heaven that his blood occupies on the throne on this earth. A connection between, us and him. So, thank you very much. Yes.
There are other Christians like Institute for Creation Research, and I think I heard John Morris looking for the Ark. And this is sort of brand new to me. What have those people who are into that kind of thing thought about your discovery and what forward they're going?
Okay. Thank you.
There's a White Ranger pickup license G3G64141 with light on. So someone may have a dead battery and they'll take care of the white pickup. I'm sorry about that.
That's quite all right. We don't want to have to push anybody to get them started, especially if it's an automatic transmission. The Institute of Creation Research, Dr. Henry Morris, his book, on the flood and Genesis and that sort of thing, I found extremely valuable when I began to read and study about, things, the flood and all of this. Now, his Creation Science Research Center, they have collected many hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years to look for Noah's Ark, among other things. However, that's not all they do. They went out to Mount St. Helens after the explosion, and they have a video out on that is excellent. I would recommend that you get that and watch it. It is excellent. It shows that strata similar to that in the Grand Canyon and other places that is spoken of by evolutionary geologists as requiring millions of years to form. It shows that it happens in a matter of hours under the right circumstances. And of course, volcanic eruptions and floods and things of that nature is the right thing. All right? Now, there is a reluctance among us human beings to shall we say, admit that somebody else found what we had been looking for. I don't know of any real nice way of saying this, but some of you here are old enough to remember polio, and that the March of Dimes raised millions of dollars to try to find a cure for polio. Now, my understanding is that the doctors that actually found Sabine and Salk, who found the vaccine for that, didn't have any money from that organization, but I don't know that personally, all right? However, it took years for the March of Dimes to find something that nobody was going to cure so they wouldn't get interrupted in their fundraising efforts again. And I think all of us are aware that when you give money to the United Fund and March of Dimes and all of that, maybe a nickel or a penny of each dollar gets to, the purpose that you're giving it for. The rest goes in the pockets of the organizational leaders, and that's tragic. So, but anyway, some of these people have collected stories about the flood, and they've shared them. Now, human nature is this. When our ears hear something coming out of our mouth, the ears don't question it. It gets stored away in your brain in the fact section. If it comes from somebody else's mouth, it gets stored away in the maybe section. All right? That's why somebody that tells the same lie over and over and over again come to believe it themselves. And so anyway, over the years, there's been stories told about Hagopian, about, Ferdinand Navarro's story, others. And the Russian pilot that flew over and saw the Ark and sent 3,000 Russian engineers. Well, one of your, shall we say, residents of the beautiful state of California had a neighbor who was Polish by descent, and he was this fellow, not the Polish fellow, but the other guy, was going to start up a magazine. And so he decided to write a story about Noah's Ark because, a lot of people are interested in Noah's Ark. And you still see that. I saw in National Enquirer a few years back that they had found Noah's Ark in Pennsylvania. And there was proof because there were skeletons of all of these animals in it. Well, bless their hearts, if the animals died on the Ark, we wouldn't have any today. But anyway, I'm sure a lot of people bought National Enquirer, to read about that. So anyway, he wrote this article up about the story about the Russian pilot, and it was all just fable. He made it up himself. And here in recent years, he has repented, and he has sent letters to ICR, to all of us Ark-hunting people, apologizing for having made up that story. Well, some of us don't repeat that story, but others do. They still tell that story knowing that it was a work of fiction.